How the heck are you?
Good. How the heck are you?
I am good. How's the quarantine life? Tell us.
Pretty good. Pretty good. Yeah, I'm feeling a little bit weird now, last couple days, but
Are you in Toronto?
I'm in Toronto, yeah.
Okay.
My street.
Hey. Oh, that's your street. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
I was just playing the new single, For Your Love, sounding incredible.
Thanks. Is it too sad? I don't know if it's too sad.
I don't know. I was trying to figure out who or what it was about. I was listening to it and I was like, is this about music at first? And I was like, I don't know.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Because it's like, I'll never give up. And it's like the attention you wanted. And like, I'm like, is this about her career? I couldn't figure it out. And then I'm like, all right. But then the second verse, I was like, no, it sounds like it's about a person. But then I'm like, is it about a parent? Or like, I'm like, are you allowed to tell us? Can you break down who or what it is about?
This is a two-part answer because I should have looked at my hair before I went on here. This is a two-point answer because I was just listening to a song that you and I did together, Get Out of the Way.
Yes.
And that was one that I kept going back and forth and being like, this is about music, right? Oh, wait, no, like I had the same sort of reaction of like, what is it about? Anyway, but it is like, yeah, it's about like growing up as a kid around an adult that has mental illness.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I never would have guessed that. So,
yeah.
Is that like a family member? Like, I don't know if we're allowed to pry, but is that like, is that what it's about? Like a family member or something?
Yeah, it's about a family member. And it's like, it's a topic I used to write about when I was younger, before I sort of got better at writing.
Mm-hmm.
And so all my songs were kind of sad and not good.
Yeah.
And I started developing like my writing skills and doing just kind of expanding the topics I'd write about. And then this year I was like, I'm going to take a stab at that sort of sad sort of topic again, just because it doesn't feel as sad to me anymore now that I'm a bit older, but it also, I just feel like I could do that topic justice now that I'm a bit better at writing.
Yeah, I feel you. I know what you mean. I find there's like certain topics that I've even haven't done yet, like as far as like even a song about my mom, and I'm just like, I don't even know if I'm even good enough to put this into words yet. So
Exactly.
I definitely feel that, like waiting until you maybe develop more or you're ready, but yeah, dope song. And the video is coming out in 2 days?
Yeah, it's coming out Friday. Do you know, were you at that Gordy Sampson camp this summer?
I was, yes.
Yeah, okay. I don't know, I just can't remember if it was this summer or last, but there was that kid that wrote, he was like this really shy kid, kind of looks like James Bay. Eric, maybe? I think he has 3 names.
Eric Stephen Martin.
Yeah. And he wrote this song. He wrote this song that was so personal, and I remember feeling like embarrassed for myself that I don't get that personal.
Yeah.
I was like, man, that's like what a real artist would do. Like, this kid doesn't have, a huge following. He's just kind of getting started, but he took this step that was much more brave than I had been.
Yeah.
And then it was just, relating back to what you said too, like there's topics I also think like I'm just not good enough to write about too. I still have those topics. Yeah.
I don't know. I think one of your strengths is like, which is something I'm trying to work on, because I used to try to like cram as many words or whatever. And now I'm trying to make a complex idea in the simplest way possible. And that's what I think you're great at. You're great at taking a complex idea and like trimming all the fat off of it and keeping like you know what I mean? What's exactly necessary. You know what I mean? But yeah.
I try.
Yeah. Unbelievable song. Let's make some goddamn noise for that song.
Oh, thank you.
We got sound effects today, Ria. No, but there's some questions I wanted to ask that I don't even really know about you, that I don't even know. Like, I guess I'm trying to be more vulnerable as an interviewer as well, so we can relate in that. But I want to know, I want to know, I've never asked you, like, where are you from in Halifax? And you had your picture as a child on your 2016 Ria Mae. You had a picture of a child. So where did you grow up? Like what neighborhood, and what can you tell us about that child on that cover? Like what were you like as a kid?
So I grew up, I was born in Dartmouth, like,
Okay.
but in the Halifax hospital. I think that's how it worked back then.
Okay.
And then moved around. My dad was like really young and really ambitious, and he had a bunch of like restaurants and real estate. And then I think he like went bankrupt or something.
Okay.
He was just super young, so he was so successful, and then he just took on maybe one too many things, and then like so. But anyway, we got to experience living in this huge house in the South End, and then kind of my parents got a divorce, and then we were in like a group home for a sec because my mom had 3 kids on her own, and then we did like West End, North End, South End. So, and then we always just lived in like these co-ops. So, and the co-ops were like kind of, they did this thing where they would place kind of, you know, lower income families in these like, you know, great neighborhoods.
Mm-hmm.
So I sort of got to have this cool experience where I was getting along with people who lived in the co-ops that were sort of on the same socioeconomic level as us, but then my best friends had like these mansions down in the South End of Halifax.
Oh,
so
wow.
sort of like this, you know, so I always felt like I was kind of in a bunch of different worlds.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, just like the picture of me on that album is like, I looked not kind of like a boy. Legitimately, people did not believe I was a girl until I was like 17.
No
so, like,
way.
Yeah, so I would have all these other, and I had really dark skin, and I remember like being on the playground in the Commons, and like all these like black boys were kicking white kids off, were kicking girls off, but they always let me stay. They thought I was like a half black boy.
No way, that's crazy.
So then I had this like secret world where these are all my friends, and then I just was like, but I'd have to be super private because I didn't want them to like ask me what my name was. I just like wanted to keep playing on the slide. So I think like my growing up, I just had all these different groups of people that I fit in with, but I was never sort of 100% myself with any of them because like, you know, sometimes you're embarrassed that you don't live in the mansion.
Yeah.
And sometimes you're like, you know, and then just my parents separating, and my dad sort of was more financially stable and kind of gained his wealth back, and my mom never did. So, and her family was kind of like her, a lot of people on welfare. My dad's family was like very middle class.
Yeah.
So just like a growing up with just constantly in different worlds. And I think like now that I'm older, I love that. And I still have a lot of friends in those different worlds and genres.
I think that honestly helps, is the greatest gift as a writer. Like, I feel like in my area there was, I don't know, I made a song about it called Picket Fence, but it's kind of like where you're just like in the middle of like 2 different worlds, and you can relate to people of all walks of life. And I feel like that is a great gift in life. Like, you know how to be in any room and relate to anyone. You know how to, I don't know, almost write vague enough that you can connect to both audiences.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a great gift. I don't know. Do you remember what like made you fall in love with music? Like, was it an artist? Was it a song? Do you remember your first like experience with falling in love with music?
I really liked, like when I was a kid, I liked the Beatles because my mom did. And like,
yeah,
the Beatles, Sam Cooke, like Motown stuff, anything that was like 3 minutes and had like 2 or 3 choruses.
Yeah.
Just like to the point and simple. Like that's the kind of music I loved. And then as I got to be a teenager, I loved Green Day and like kind of the punk versions of like those 3-minute songs, like 2-minute songs.
Green Day was dope. I used to love Green Day too.
Yeah, I loved Green Day. Like I bleached my hair and had like chains. I had a mohawk at one point, and like really went for it. And then like late high school, I switched high schools halfway through. I went to QEH. Where did you go before QEH? Or I went to QEH first, and then I went to St. Pat's for the second half of high school.
Okay, yeah.
So in Halifax, like these 2 schools were right across the street from each other, but they couldn't have been more different.
Yeah.
And QE was like super white school, super like rich kids, like football players wore like those jackets. It was like out of a movie, and I had never been around that. And like I went from being what I felt was like kind of popular and all through school, just because I was friends with everybody, to suddenly being like, oh my God, like I'm gonna get killed in this high school. Like, this is not for me.
St. Pat's is a little more, way more rugged, and
it's more rugged, but it was kids that I had grown up with that I knew. So like, I remember going to school the first day and someone's like, watch out for this kid. And I was like, oh shit, no, that's my childhood friend. You know? And so like, I was just way more comfortable, and the kids there had more problems than like picking on someone's like haircut. Bigger issues, like, you know, it was just like more poverty, more issues. So like, I just fit in better. And that is why I started listening to hip hop music and in that culture, because all my friends we would go out and like smoke cigarettes. They would be rapping and I would be doing hooks and just
no way.
Yeah. And so some of it was recycled. Like sometimes I'd recycle like, you know, a hook that I had heard, or they'd recycle a verse, but like it was, and like really tough. And actually TK, you know, TK, DJ Playboy?
Yeah.
He was in my group in high school, in my group of friends.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. So it'd be a lot of times like he can attest to like me coming in with the worst hook you've ever heard, and people just being like, fuck, like, boo, like, switch to the next rapper. And being, like, so embarrassed, but, like, okay, I gotta get a better one. And, yeah, like, so that...
So you were in ciphers. You came up in... That's essentially, like, a cipher. Like a rap
basically, cipher. Like, so have you seen 8 Mile?
Yeah. Never seen it. Never heard of it.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. Check it out.
I will. So, like, do you remember the first rap, like artists you were interested in? Like, what time would this be around? Like,
so my favorite, it's like the era of like Puff Daddy,
the shiny suit era.
The shiny suit era. It was also an era though that like any woman that was singing hooks was like in a bikini.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I remember telling my friends, being like, when I grow up, I'm going to sing hooks and rap songs, and people were like crying, laughing.
Yeah, because
I looked like a boy. No one could convince, like, half of the people that graduated with me probably still thought I was just like a boy that didn't go through puberty.
No way.
So like I'd be like, yeah, I'm gonna sing hooks, and like I would be learning these, like anytime there was like guitar on like an Eve song, I would learn it and like just like really get locked into the rhythm. And I just like, it was so hard because I never saw anyone like me do like be involved in hip hop music. And so like I didn't really think that I would ever. It was just weird. I remember taking like baths, which is a weird thing, but like when I can't picture a goal for myself because I've never seen someone else be able to do it, I always like sit in the bath and just be like, pretend you can see it, pretend you can see it. And like, and then it was like, yeah, flash forward a few years later, like I meet Classified, huge fan of his and his story. And then kind of did a few, like would sing something on one of his tracks, but like not as a writer. So my voice would be on the radio, but not my name.
Oh, yeah.
And
like almost like he's sampling you or something.
Yeah.
By the way, baths are super underrated. I don't care how soft that makes me look. Baths are the shit.
Baths are the shit. But yeah, just like feeling all those little signs of like, okay, my voice is on the radio. I can do it. I'm closer. And like all these little, I don't know, just I knew that like obviously right now I'm mainly singer songwriter pop music, but I love the collaborations I've done with people like you and Classified, and just like I think that is why too. I don't know, I've been able to connect with people in that genre. Yeah. But
do you remember what the songs were where your voice were on, like the Classified songs, like before close off?
It's the one that's like it's like a Michael Jackson sample that he got me to re-sing. It was like, oh yeah. That like it sounded like a Michael Jackson like Motowny thing.
Oh, is that the one? I forget what that's called. Payday or something?
Maybe.
Is he like the back catcher in the video and like the
yeah, I think
that's the afro.
Yeah, Payday. Their classes.
Payday. Yeah, that's what it's called. Yeah.
And so that one, him and I had already been working in the studio. I knew there were songs to come out, but that was the first time I heard my voice on C100.
On the radio.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Now you told me this story one time, and I want you to go into it if you can, but it was basically you had to bet everything on yourself to get close up on the radio. Like you told me that you were working a certain job and like what was it? You had to put up like all your money and it was like everything you had, and if it didn't work out, you were like pretty much fucked? Can you go into that?
Sure. Yeah, I had quit I've just never been able to hold a job and write songs. I could do one or the other.
Yeah.
Because, you know, if you're working 40 hours a week, like, you can't just come home and be like, I don't know, I'm just exhausted.
Yeah.
So I would constantly work and save up a few grand and then quit. And so I had done that, quit this job, and had a few grand. Like,
what was the job?
I think it was like I quit a construction management job, which is what I went to school for.
Okay.
But
Did
then
you have like the hard hat and everything? Like,
it was an office job, but I had a hat to go like inspect things around the site.
Okay, that's what's up.
And but then I quit that to have a bit more flexibility. So I was like building cardboard cutouts at the movie theater. Like, you know,
like the life-size like cutouts.
Yeah.
Wow.
And just like an Airbnb just came to Halifax, so I was renting out my place whenever I could, staying at friends' places.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so class and I were working on a few songs. I was working towards an album, but I only had I could basically pay for a couple more songs or put all that money on close off going to the radio.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why. It's not in my nature to do that. I've always needed $1,000 in the bank.
Yeah.
Like if I'm $1 short of that, I pretend I have zero. And I just put everything on this song, and then I got an email from class like a week later. And he was like, "Yo, Sony just called me." And he's like, "They're looking for you." And I was like, "They're looking for me?" Like, no one's literally ever looked for me. Like, no one's ever. I had been asking everyone to manage me. Everyone, no one's ever come to me.
I remember you telling me this. You had sent out so many emails, and there was just so many doors closed in your face. There was no break. So was that the turning point? Once close off came, was that just all right? Because I remember there was something, then all of a sudden just something clicked, and it was you went from being local to being on fire, across the country.
Yeah, that's what it was. Sony came down to Enfield to Classified's studio.
Yeah. And
it was me in class, the president of Sony, the A&R, and the local rep.
Yeah.
And we played them the 4 songs that we had, or maybe 5 songs that we had, and then I played acoustic for them. And that was it. Then they were offered me a deal, and then 6 months later they re-released Close Off. They remixed it.
Oh, okay.
But it was it's the old one still on. If you A/B them, they're pretty similar. It's still Class's production, everything's the same. And yeah, it was within, I think that we released it in July, and it went gold by October. And all of a sudden I was able to play, because from the Maritimes, if you go play a show in Winnipeg, you'll have your aunt and your someone who live in Halifax come out.
Yeah.
And it's suddenly I was showing up in Winnipeg, and there'd be people there that were singing Close Off, nothing else. And then yeah, it's crazy. It's it was a wild year.
That is absolutely insane. So everything just turned around all in the blink of an eye.
Yeah.
That is so crazy. So now you recently told me, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but you moved over to being now an independent artist.
Yeah.
Is that how do you feel making the switch? What do you think are some of the pros and cons to being on a major label and versus being independent?
It's weird. It kind of changes every year, I think, but for me, I know that I could not have done what I did without being on that label, without being on Sony Canada.
Yeah.
I know, because I was trying for years and years and years, and it was if you're in a crowd and your dad picks you up above everyone. I felt like that. They were "Don't worry about it. You're just on the radio now. Oh, here you go. You can have this." And I was and just being able to go into radio stations and meet with people. Where before I would email and say, "Can you play my song on the radio?" And then I didn't really know how it works until Sony would bring me in and I would meet like the rep for the radio station and he'd be like, tell me about you. And I'd tell him like what I just told you. And they'd be like, what a great story. Like, you know what? We're going to add the song. We're going to play it 3 times a day and, you know, shake your hand and there you go. And like, I just didn't know how it worked. So I needed the label right now, 2020, is it 2020?
It is 2020, yes.
2020. I think it's a pretty great time to be independent, but I think that comes with me knowing that I've sort of built this base on radio and have a fan base now. Mm-hmm. For me, I like being independent right now, but I really liked being on Sony for probably 4 of the 5 years that I was on them.
I think that's an ideal situation. It's like you had all the resources of the major label, you built your thing, and now you can reap all the benefits as an independent artist.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's actually incredible. A lot of people, they ask me, because like you mentioned a couple times, like, you know, you didn't know how it worked to get on the radio. A lot of people, the average listener, come up to me and be like, why isn't this song on the radio? Or like, how come the radio doesn't play this song? Like, can you like go into some of the process, like the radio promotion, just for like upcoming artists or just the average listener? Like, tell them how you have to like pay the radio promoter. You have to like, there's so many steps. Can you like speak about that at all?
Yeah, that's something, and it's funny because when I worked construction management, my office was next to Warner's office. And I remember him sort of telling me, and he was like, I don't want to deflate you. I just want you to know, like, if all of your energy is going towards emailing people to try to get one spin on the radio, something, because the way that radio works, where you're either paying someone a ton of money if you're independent, or your label has literally employees in every city whose only job is to go to every radio station and like take meetings, you know, buy them dinners. And it's not that you're the only one doing that. There's tons. Every artist that you hear on the radio is the same thing. They have a radio team. And paying for radio promotion isn't illegal. Paying for spins, like if I went to C100 and said, here's $1,000 to play my song, that's illegal. But if I go to like Johnny down the road marketing promotion and pay him to just go in and take meetings with the radio guy, that's totally legal.
Yeah.
And it sucks because I see a lot of artists like will dump $5,000 on a song that's not ready for radio. Yeah. And it's hard. Like, you really need to trust the radio promoter if you're doing it independently. And if I'm being honest, like I paid that $4,000, but that radio promoter only got me 2 stations, Halifax and Ottawa. The rest was Sony. It wasn't until Sony came on board, and those 2 stations were actually alternative. They weren't even pop.
No way. Yeah,
so someone from Sony heard it on the alternative radio in Halifax because his wife listens to that station. And so it was, so don't think that I paid $4,000 and got radio in every station across Canada, because that's not exactly how it works either.
It's crazy. That's a big risk, like, that I don't think people realize. Like, you're gonna pay $5,000 and it might not work at all. And especially if that's your last money, like, it's kind of crazy. Like,
yeah, it's hard. It's almost like I would never tell. I know that the thing I did was very, very, very lucky. Like, I know the song was strong, but the fact that someone's wife heard it and showed them, like, it kind of tells you it's not the right thing to do, even though I had a lucky shot there. Like, I think the better thing to do, especially if you're in a city that's not a major city, is save your money and make sure you spend as much time as you can around the actual industry. Because in Halifax, we play these showcases, and it's like our friends show up. And then I didn't realize that, like, you play a showcase to 20 people in Toronto, and it's like the head of Sony, the head of Warner, all the booking agents, everyone's just there hanging out. And it's so easy to spend the $200 flight, and that's way cheaper than $4,000. And that person can help you get on the radio. So I think wasting your money as an independent on radio is just, I wouldn't recommend it.
How important do you think radio is now versus to when Close Off blew up? Because now you're seeing, like, when Close Off was streaming it might have just started being a big thing.
Yes.
So is radio even necessary anymore? Like, in your opinion, like, are you going to push this new single you just dropped to radio? And now that you're independent, will you hire an independent radio promotion for that? Or are you just going to focus on streaming with this new single?
Great questions. Well, I forget the first one already. So I'm not going to go to radio with this single.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't, I listen to radio quite often. This one just doesn't sound radio-y to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, if I go to radio, I will be using an independent promoter. Now I have relationships with radio across Canada, so it'll be a bit easier for me in this position.
Because you have a track record, you've already been on the radio, so they know your name. And so it's going to be easier for that promoter that you hire.
Yeah, it'll just be like, it's hard. It's such a tough job, people that are programming songs on the radio, because they're getting a lot of pressure from the labels to add, like, the new Ariana Grande has to be on there. The new Justin Bieber has to be, like, and
yeah.
There's a couple spots left for Canadians, which is nice that they kind of carve out a few spots for Canadians. But that competition is getting big, and it has to be a song that their viewer is not going to change the channel to. So they actually do this thing where they'll add your song and then they test it with their viewers. And if it tests poor, you're off.
Yeah.
And so it's super hard, but it is, like, I don't think it's important. I know people that don't do radio at all that are having great careers, but my music happens to fit on radio sometimes. And I'd be lying if I said it didn't change my career. Like,
yeah,
I went from sleeping on my younger sister's couch, like, you know, to now having, like, I'm not a rich person by any means, but I'm comfortable, and I don't, you know, have panic attacks about money anymore, and I can play in all these cities, and I have this, like, great fan base. Like, it changed my life. I can't sit here and be like, no, it doesn't matter. But I'm lucky because I have been exactly the right genre for radio, and that could change any second. So.
Was giving up, like you said, so many doors closed in your face, and then finally this thing worked out. Was giving up ever in the cards? Were you ever like, all right, like, if this doesn't work, like, I'm done? Or do you think, like, you would have just kept going regardless?
Yeah, I don't think I would have stopped. Maybe if, like, I don't know. I don't think I ever thought about giving up, but I had some pretty gross thoughts a lot.
Yeah.
Like, I'd wake up in the middle of the night and be like, oh my God, I'm 29? Oh, fuck, this is so embarrassing. Like, this should have happened when I was 21.
Yes.
Those kind of thoughts. And then be like, oh God, like, just like, I'm so crazy. Of course, like, just really bad thoughts, but it was never an actual, like, okay, I'm going to give up music and do this. Like, I never had that.
Yeah. That is wild. Well, you've done so much since then. Geez, man, that's just, it's been incredible what you've done. I want to bring it back just for 1 second, just for maybe my audience who's watching here. Do you remember when we first met at all? Like, do you remember the time, or, like, do you have any of that memory?
No. Was it like in that studio that Neon Dreams used to have? Did I come to your house?
I think you came to my house. Yeah. I think you came to my house, and we all just got, like, it was like, I forget who was here. It was like me,
Chris
Knox, Jeter from Alabama was there, I think, Corey maybe. And I remember you came over, and I think we all just got super drunk and did, I don't know what song we did. I wish I could find that. But I think that was the first time. And I remember I was like, I thought you sounded like Alanis Morissette.
Yeah, you punched your ceiling tile and yelled Alanis Morissette. And I was like, what am I doing here in Fairview? Like, yeah,
I actually found a very nice email, the first email you ever sent me, if I could read it for this audience, just to show how nice you are. This was from 2011. I have it right here. It says, hey, just wanted to say hi. I bought your album last week on iTunes, and it's been on repeat. I'm a Halifax musician too. I got off tour and just got home the day I got home. Wicked song. Anyways, my music is way different than yours. I write really catchy pop stuff. If you ever need a song to sample or someone to sing anything, I'm so in. Take anything you want from me. I love that. Hope to run into you soon. Make Halifax proud. Ria, that was 2011.
Whoa.
Crazy, crazy, crazy. And I forget you had some video attached to it at the time. I don't have it right now.
So business.
Yeah.
My resume.
Yeah. Incredible, incredible.
Wow.
A few last things, Ria, before we wrap up. Do you have a dream collaboration? Like, is there somebody, whether it's a writer, whether it's an artist, whether it's a producer, like, is there somebody you haven't worked with yet that you're like, this would be just, you know what I mean, a dream come true, like bucket list type stuff?
Timbaland.
Really? Ria and Timbo, that was incredible.
I was waiting for people to laugh when I say that, but like, remember that one Republic song, Apologize, when it came out?
Oh, of course. Incredible.
And then, yeah, and I remember that moment being like, and it was like, and that was produced by Timbaland, and he read it. I was like, what? And then that was sort of what put the thought in my mind of working with Classified, which was a huge dream of mine. But so from that date forward, though, working with Timbaland, and then just like, I just read his book like last year, and just even from like stuff he's done with Missy Elliott, just like that vibe, I love. So
even the Nelly Furtado stuff.
Yeah, Nelly Furtado
Canadian
stuff.
Working with Timbaland.
Fuck yeah.
Justin Timberlake songs with Timbaland.
So good.
Incredible. Did you by any chance, I don't know how tapped in you are to the hip hop world, but did you by any chance watch any of these battles they've been having? The first one, so they go on live just like me and you are, and then they had a production battle. It was Timberland versus Just Blaze, and they just play song for song to see who has more hits. And there's like 50,000 people in the comments, like,
oh my God.
Everyone you can think of, like Justin Timberlake, Alicia Keys, like, and everyone's just commenting, like, hanging on to every song. Have you seen that?
No, that's fucking crazy.
The other night, they just had Neo versus Jonte Austin, a songwriter battle, back and forth of all the songs they wrote. So, like, the last 4 songs, it was neck and neck, and it was like, it would go like Mary J. Blige, Mariah Carey, Beyonce, Mario, Let Me Love You. Like, it was just all these bangers, and it's so inspiring to me. I don't know, I just didn't know if you saw any of that stuff.
I'm gonna go seek that out. Neo's actually one of my favorite songwriters.
Neo, I think, is the GOAT for me, like, especially after seeing last night. All hits, like,
crazy.
Yeah.
Dang.
But Ria, before we wrap up, is there anything else you would like to say to the people? Anything we could look forward to? What's next?
Well, I'm doing these like live concerts from my house every Thursday night. Okay. I know a lot of people are doing it. I'm pretty sure I started it. I think I started the movement. Not really, but we're doing every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Toronto time. We're just, me and my bandmate are stuck in this house together.
Okay.
And we're going to do that. And I have a bunch more music coming out. The thing I'm most excited for is your Five Fingers in New York once.
Oh, man.
That's crazy, Quake.
I know. I can't believe it. Like, and as crazy as this whole pandemic has been, obviously a very negative thing, I think there is some positives that came out of it. Like, if you learn how to adapt and use the internet, like, I don't think I would have ever got that chance if everyone wasn't stuck in the house. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
That's the thing too, and that's a good way to look at, like, I know I have some friends that are a bit bummed because they can't tour and they can't do other things, but like, it's just the whole job of being a musician has always been whoever can adapt the best to the next thing.
Yes.
And it's like, it is bringing out, I mean, I know I'm your friend, so I'm biased, but I'm such a fan of you too, that like, I've always wanted to see more of your personality and more of you talking like this, because everyone that knows you're the funniest person in our lives.
I don't know. My dad told me you saw him and you told him like, oh, he's really funny, but I don't know. I don't see myself. I was like, funny. I don't know. Am I funny? Like, I don't know.
Because you're just so quick. It's just so quick. It's like you're hilarious.
Oh, I appreciate it.
It's just good. Like, I feel like this, like that is a crazy opportunity that you wouldn't have got. And now just like you doing these interviews and being really good at it. I feel, it's great. Like I feel like you're one of the best at like adapting to, I think that's why as an independent artist, you've been able to just keep going up, is like, you're never too like embarrassed or too like above doing the new thing. And it's like, I think that's the key.
Oh, I appreciate it, Ria. I think that line stops at TikTok though. I'm embarrassed with that.
Yeah,
I'm embarrassed with TikTok.
yeah, it'll stop there. Yeah.
Are you on TikTok?
I'm on TikTok, but I'm mainly just, I'm not really creating yet. Just a
Okay.
few videos that are like really bad.
You're just consuming. You're super funny and witty too. Like you have the dry humor. I think that, like, I won't even lie. Your stories inspired me. Remember when I didn't do Instagram stories and I was like, I want to start doing stories because like your shit was so funny. Like, but I was always scared to do it. But yeah, I think you would be really good at TikTok. You know what I mean?
Maybe maybe in a couple months I'll start.
Hey, Ria, before we go, class, aka dad, just text. I didn't see what it said. I'm gonna open it just in case maybe it's a question for you or something. We're gonna see real.
She's laughing.
And it wasn't a question. We're all good. I thought, I thought it was gonna be like, ask her this, ask her this.
Oh my god, I need to know more about her childhood.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks for having me on this.
Yes, Ria, thank you so much. Everybody go check out Ria's single, For Your Love, and everything she does. Incredible artist, incredible human. Ria, thank you so much.
Awesome. Talk soon.
All right, take care, Ria.
Bye.
All right.